Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Hey, listen, this is not a good one for me. As a person, just like most black people that used to be lifetime Democrats, and around 6 or 7 years ago, maybe a little less, since the Hillary vote, that I'm glad she lost. I did vote for her because I had believed a lot of the bullshit about Trump. But then my eyes started to open up to see what the Democrats have done to the black community and black people in general. These two gentlemen have officially, as far as I'm concerned, opened up Illinois to be an open rebellion against the federal government. Right? I think they have. There's no doubt that both of these gentlemen are an open rebellion against the United States government. And let's all know, Curtis. And I think that guilty of sedition. If you look up sedition, I think they fall into that category. Now, it's a conduct intended to incite rebellion, revolt, or violence against the lawful government of the United States. I think it's clear. I think these guys should go to jail. Pritzker is the quintessential white man liberal that Malcolm X said is our biggest enemy is black people. He opened up his state to illegal aliens and he placed them directly in the black community to hold black people as meat puppets between his new voting bloc and the federal government full with illegals. And they bankrupt the city over $2 billion worth of money to fund and house and feed these people, and told the black people down in those communities to eat shit and die. And then his black puppet sycophant, Stephen James, Brandon Johnson, just surpassed what Malcolm X said. Malcolm X said the white liberal is the worst enemy of the black man. Well, that's no longer true. Men like Brandon Johnson are the worst enemy to black people that we've ever had in the modern era. This man is a horrible person. And I tell you what, he openly and willfully shits on the black people in his community, talking about how crime is down. Maybe 3 men ain't dying a day. It's only 2, and that's okay. So let me tell you, I got a few clips of what just happened recently in Chicago, where the police force were told to stand down and pretty much to let the ICE agents kill or be killed out in the street by order of these 2 pricks. And then the police chief had to come on, I think, and he had to stand up, probably in jeopardy of his own job, saying again and again that the ICE agents are in Chicago on lawful federal orders. Period. They are not breaking the law. That's a lie. No matter what CNN says, no matter what MSNBC says, no matter what this fat Pritzker says, none of that shit is true. These guys are lawfully in Chicago to find illegal aliens, and it doesn't matter about your heartstrings. The law is the law. If you're outside of compliance with immigration law, you are subject to deportation, period. And if these pricks would open up the jails, they wouldn't have to be in the streets. They can get these guys on retainer from courthouses and inside the jails. So all of the consternation in the streets, all of the stuff in the streets is based on these 2 guys who are in open rebellion against the federal government. And let me tell you this. I think the federal government has been too lenient. I think that if you stand in front of a car trying to stop it from leaving, I think that's obstruction of justice. Those people should go to jail. I think they should take the gloves off and start whipping some heads down there and put people in jail. And they should just arrest people and put them in jail. Stop talking. I think the ICE agents have been more than I guess, compliant, trying not to, get into any kind of real bad situations with these people. But the folks who are trying to stop them from doing their job are actually breaking the law. And I don't really care who feels bad about that. Doesn't matter how long they've been here. If you're not here legally, you're here illegally, and you are subject to deportation. So I got the clip of the dispatch telling the cops, pretty much to let the ICE agents eat shit and die. And so let's play that clip, and then I'm gonna play the clip of the police chief and what he thinks about what's going on, and then of course one of the border patrol guys. And I'm not gonna make this a real long thing, but I think folks, especially liberal folks, you're on the wrong side of the law. You're absolutely on the wrong side of the law in this one. ICE is just doing their job, and they have a job to do. And we need to get these illegal aliens out of this country. You know why? Not only for two reasons. One, they cost money and we're paying it. And two, they're not assimilating into our society. You don't want to become a third world country. I know I don't. So when you just finally got yourself together, you got people coming in who want to try to change and transform this country into the shitholes that they came from. So listen, that includes Africa, by the way, and everywhere else that's not America. So I said it. This United States, if they have anything great to offer, I want to make sure that I can partake of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody coming here fucking that shit up. And since because the Democrats are looking for a new voter bloc besides black sycophants, you know what? They can't get it for free. Just handing out money to their new slave puppets ain't gonna happen. So Trump, you could blow it though. You got to make sure you're careful. But here's the message that these guys had. Let me see if I can find it. The police message. I think this is it.
Appears to have come through a communication from the chief of patrol over the communication through the Office of Emergency Management and Communication, reading, no units will respond to this. Multiple police sources have confirmed to us the message is authentic, and it is backed up by audio of the stand-down order.
And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that for 999. Chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location. All right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th Place in Kedzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Place in Kedzie.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
In an official statement,
listen,
CPD says officers did respond, right in quote, CPD responded to the scene to document the incident. CPD officers were also on the scene to maintain safety and traffic control.
Listen, the die is cast. We got a message in open rebellion by some higher up saying those ICE agents could eat shit and die. A lady was killed in that incident, I believe, right? That's when they were ramming the car. The lady turns out to be pretty much a known anarchist. And the ICE agents had to retaliate, and then the police stood by and watched. Now, if I was a policeman, right, and this is what's happening with the Chicago PD, I can guarantee you that 90% of those guys feel like shit by watching crimes take place with other law enforcement agencies because they have commanders that are two seditious pricks, from the mayor to the governor. From the mayor to the governor. They got to take these orders because they need to feed their families, and they'll watch other officers die in the street because they're not allowed to respond. This shit is a scandal of epic proportions, man. I'm telling you, I don't see it. First of all, you're not going to get this on CNN or MSNBC. This is a huge deal, right? police officers looking at other police officers under siege by crazed potential murderers and being told that they can't do anything. I mean, let that shit sink in, man. I mean, let it sink in. You know, those federal officers from ICE are not there just playing games. They're there by lawful orders from the federal government, by legislative, constitutional rights that were voted on by both Democrats and Republicans. You know, they're not there just twiddling their thumbs because Trump said so. He has a duty to purge our country of illegals, period. And the 4 years that Biden was there, he refused. Matter of fact, he not only didn't, he broke the law and allowed millions of these pricks to come in our country and steal our resources and put our people under siege. Okay, so maybe the word, no harsh, I'm on that, the curse words, but I could tone that down. But the truth of the matter is, if you're here illegally, you're breaking the law. It's as simple as that. All right, so here's the next message from the police chief himself, because no matter what people are telling him what to do, he's still a man and he's still a chief of police. And for his 3 minutes, I think he acquitted himself pretty well, and I agree with him. And I know he feels sick to his stomach that he has to listen to this bullshit from civilian people. And so here goes. Here's the police chief. This just should make regular people really, really mad. But the police chief said what I said, but much more eloquently and from a policeman's heart, on that, you know, what people are doing are absolutely wrong.
So although we do not engage in immigration enforcement, we enforce the law when the laws are violated. So let me be clear to the public about certain things.
What he just said there, right, that he is going to enforce the law if you see it violated, that goes in open rebellion against what that prick, Brandon Johnson, has told his officers not to do. He told his officers, stand down and watch these guys. You know, whether they die or not, it's not his fault. It's not his problem. He doesn't want to get involved. That's what those messages said. We just played the messages. Just watch the civilian savages come after law enforcement agency and don't do anything. We heard the message. We heard it reconfirmed. It came from the top.
You have to excuse me, I'm a little dehydrated.
So he put his job on the line by saying this.
Let me make this clear. Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end. Reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force. And they can use deadly force in response to stop you. We need to be clear about these laws. We cannot become a society where we just decide to take everything in our own hands and start to commit crimes against law enforcement. It is a crime. You may not like what they're doing. I can understand that there's a lot of emotions out there, but that does not mean that you get to commit a crime, especially one that could lead to deadly force. We need to keep everyone safe. Our responsibilities when it comes to federal agents, and I've been asked these questions, we do not interfere with the duties and responsibilities of federal agents.
All right. So yeah, he said it, right?
US Border Control personnel have shot an armed woman after protest.
So that's that one. And there's one more that I want to show. I should have probably let that one finish playing, because that one also was the lady who got shot ramming the police thing. But here's another Border Patrol guy talking.
Don't know exactly what happened in that dispatch room, nor what the communication was between dispatch and that particular commander. But what I do know is the rank and file police officers here in Chicago do support immigration and border patrol. It's just they're not allowed to say anything. They've got a mayor that will fire them if they say anything. They've got a governor that is wildly out of control with his rhetoric. So they're up against it both ways. I think those police officers want those gang members and those criminals taken off the streets just like we do, but they're handicapped beyond belief.
Well, the president of the National Fraternal Order of Police and the Illinois State Police Union expressed shock at these reports. Don't you think we need to get to the bottom of it? And how and when will we get to the bottom of it?
Absolutely. We do need to get to the bottom of it because, Sean, there's going to be more incidents just like this because it's a war zone out there. Secretary No mentioned a bounty on the heads of federal agents, that $2,000 to kidnap, $10,000 to kill senior Border Patrol officials and senior ICE officials here in Chicago. Now, Sean, what happens between the kidnapping and the killing portion? That's something out of a third world country. Is this America? So we do need to get to the bottom of that. And I do believe that we'll get some more clarity on what additional better response from Chicago Police Department in talking with Superintendent Schnelling and others.
Listen, let me listen. Both Pritzker and Brandon Johnson should be charged with sedition. If you look up sedition, this is exactly what they're doing, in open rebellion to the federal government in pursuit of laws that were made through the legislation on the books. They're not making this shit up as they go, trying to disrupt Chicago or anywhere else. If you are in America outside of compliance with immigration laws, you are subject to deportation because you're breaking the law. And for the governor and the mayor standing in front and making it a hostile situation for federal law enforcement agencies, using Black people in their neighborhoods as meat puppets for illegal aliens, these guys need to go to jail. Don't have to be violent about it. They need to be charged. Where's Pam Bondi? Where's the AG? I mean, I just looked up on Google and just researched what sedition is. Based on the kind of shit they did to Trump, how come you can't charge these two pricks with sedition? I know it's a big deal, but I mean, it's textbook sedition against the federal government. You know, and they're saying it out loud. How can a mayor have an ice-free zone anywhere in the United States unless he's declaring Chicago no longer part of the United States? How can he possibly say that? Now, he said that, right? He did that. You know, so where's Pam Bondi? Where the hell is all this bullshit that the Republicans talk about? I mean, you know, if you really want to do something, put some handcuffs on that prick, man, and let all chips fall where they may, and let him fight to get free. But I'm telling you that, you know, this guy, they're breaking the law. Anyway, so I know I'm just rambling. I'm not a lawmaker or anything like that, but hey, it's clear. I mean, it's absolutely clear what Brandon Johnson has done and what Pritzker has done, and that the Black community is under siege by the people they've unleashed in those areas and gave them free money, free reign to do whatever they want to do, to take root, to use Black people as human meat puppets so they can get away with all kinds of crimes. And while Mayor Brandon Johnson bankrupts the city in order to pay homage to his masters. You know, so I'm telling you, it's a bad situation. And seeing all these Black sycophants come on, you know, CNN and talk all this bullshit like, the ICE agents were wrong. But you know what? It's okay for Trende Lawaga to have all the Black people in the building under, you know, siege. You can murder two Black people a day in Chicago, but it's okay because it's not 3. You know, so I'm telling you, you know, Brandon Johnson has to go. And he's going to be mayor until all the way in sometime next year, unless they can get him out of there by some kind of recall. But this guy has got to be the worst. He's the worst. Anyway, all pain. Just had to get that off my chest. Marriage, politics, and sports is my political reaction to the destruction of Chicago right in front of our face. I know, Curtis, it sounds radical for me coming out and saying this, but as long as I've lived, I've never seen something as bad as I'm seeing now. A state in open rebellion against the federal government, and the governor and the mayor seemingly guilty of sedition, or at least they should be charged somehow. If it doesn't stick, that's okay, but I think it sounds textbook to me. On Pay Marriage, Politics, and Sports, over and out.